You're going to show us some scale patterns and sequences that you use for the 7-note scales and the pentatonics. How do you interject these patterns into your leads? I mean, what's the process?
Well, usually I just play it by heart, and just play by feeling. But I like to mix it up a little bit, the minor scales, with the pentatonics and add some blues notes in here and there, like the flat fives and your major sixth. And what I usually do is that I take a pattern from one string, and I take another pattern from the second string. Then I mix them up, here and there, and I mean that's a good way to warm up, but also I mean it's a good way to come up with great licks, that you can throw in the solos. So that's something that I actually do a lot.
Yeah, it does. It is really cool to, like, as an exercise, you could go take these kind of patterns and use them with all the different scales, and use them as warm-ups even. But like I noticed a lot of your leads, like you do a pattern, and you're gonna bend at the end, and you makes you go across the whole neck laterally too, pretty fluidly,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, well, even just the climbing up, if you do it from the 12th to the 24th, and then just bend the 24th. If you're playing something in F sharp, and you got 24 frets. If you don't, then you're screwed. But then you gotta, then you got a nice lick right there.
That's cool. So you're gonna do some for the 7-note scales, like I said, and the pentatonics, and then. They could take these patterns and just use them in all different scales and try to create their own leads with these and put them into their own songs.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, all those things, they can mix up, and if you do, you can, like I said, you can just take the minor licks and the 3 and upper string patterns, and then all of a sudden throw in like descending pentatonic, throw a bend here and there, add the flat five, and all of a sudden you got yourself a solo. Well, usually I just like to, especially when it comes to like sweep picking, because I've been known to be the sweeper of the world. So
not floors.
So I like to save it a little bit, and not base the whole solo on it. I know that I've done that, in the past, but nowadays, I just like to keep things more musical. So I mean, if you mix up arpeggios with melodies and stuff like that, that's actually it creates a really, really cool sound. And the thing about sweep picking is that if you can make it sound smooth, it sounds really rad. But then again, string skipping is something that you can do a lot of things that is pretty much impossible to do with sweep picking technique. So it's really cool, a cool thing to know both of them to. Create like crazy arpeggios that you might want to throw here and there.
Now you were saying the sweep technique you're really known for. Could you just demonstrate, like when you're doing a sweep, how do you hold your hand like as you're going down?
So usually I think that the most important things are that you keep the pick a little loose, but not too loose though, and also the key thing is like muting. That you cannot have like 2 notes ringing at the same time.
Oh yeah.
But not completely muted. It's really it's coordination with this part of your hand, where you mute, and then the picking part and the left hand. So it's like you gotta have like all these 3, in sync.
Yeah, you like sort of like roll your hand on it to mute different strings as you do the arpeggios. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my hand goes almost like kind of like that when I'm going down.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, that's a technique. I mean, for these examples you're going to show that they really should focus on, work on getting that sweep, that motion of their hand and the muting, like you said, that will help them to really execute these arpeggios really well. Now, when you do string skipping ones, you use mostly alternate picking, right?
Mostly, yeah, but I'm also, pull-ups and hammer-ons, So I mean, like.
Oh yeah.
So, both. So I mean, I do a lot of alternate picking too, which again, it's a really good exercise. but also it can sound really cool in the solo. But that's actually, I mean, that's a lot harder to do than the pull-ups and the hammer-ons.
Yeah.
But it does sound really cool though.
Now, when you practice or when you warm up, do you use a metronome, or do you just do?
I do sometimes. It depends. Before the show, I usually just I like to just jam and obviously do do the exercises at slow tempo and stuff like that. But the thing is that I'm just like I'm not dragging like a metronome with me like to every backstage and stuff like that. So usually when I'm at home or at studio, I do use a metronome, and usually the metronome for me. At this point, it's more useful when it comes to slow tempos, just to get that down.
And so it's important to get a routine set up for yourself of things that are challenging, that can help your hands warm up. This way, when you go to play at a show or a recording session, that your hands are just ready to rip it, right?
Yeah, but the point is that when you're doing the warm ups and stuff, it doesn't necessarily have to mean that that they have to be boring. So that's why I like to do stuff that it's more musical, like I said, the classical pieces and what have you. So it just makes the warming up definitely more interesting. Well, usually when it comes to creating solos, for me, like 8 out of 10, they're improvised. What I do is that I have the solo background, I just have it on a loop, and I play on top of it. I just whatever comes into my mind, and I record every take, and I listen to it. And if there's something that I liked, I keep it. I mean, as in I want to play it again.
Yeah.
And I might take 20 different takes, and just listen to each and every one of them, and put the pieces together. The piece that I liked, and maybe even switch the spots here and there. But the point is that I put them together, and then that's how the lead really, at least for me, that's the way to go.
Yeah, like you take the beginning of one, the end of one, and you just one arpeggio, and then you just mold it together and make your lead that way.
Yeah.
And then
and that's also it's a good way to that you can really hear what not to do.
Yeah.
That it's like okay, I mean, that was that was not good.
That part sucked. All right, not that one. Let's do this part's great. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
A lot of players don't do that. A lot of players try to write and script out every section and lead it, and sometimes you could tell that it's not natural too when that happens. If you just try to write every riff and have it completely together and then go in the studio.
I know. I mean that's why I don't like to roll that way. Like I said, there might be 2 songs with each album that I had written the solo beforehand, but I mean I like to keep things spontaneous and fresh and play with my heart and what I feel at the moment. And it's for me it's just more natural than pre-writing the solo.
And you could tell your solos have a lot of feel, and I think that's because you do let it come naturally that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, for somebody who's just learning to play, or intermediate level guitar player, even advanced guitar players, it's really smart for them to not just listen to metal music, but to be diverse in the styles of music. Maybe listen to a little funk, blues, jazz, whatever it may be, and take little bits of that and incorporate it into their own music to make their own style. And I know that you've done that, and people might not even know that. The minute I say, no, Alexi Laiho's always heavy metal, but you've had some other influences could you explain,
Well, yeah, it's true. There's a lot of influence from anything from John Lee Hooker to Britney Spears, for that matter.
That's cool.
And but the funny thing is that you gotta keep your mind open and just absorb music from different styles and not only metal. And then like you said, it's a funny thing, but people really think that. I mean, some people think that that I'm only all about metal and stuff like that, and I would never even look at any other direction, but the fact of the matter is that a lot of my stuff it comes from from blues and even some funky sounding stuff, and it's a cool way to incorporate that style of playing into heavy metal, and I think that that's sort of adds more personality in your playing.
Yeah.
As opposed to just doing the metal thing, and doing only the alternate picking and the sway picking, and being like really accurate about everything. Sometimes it's just cool to go punk rock or just kind of bluesy and then do a crazy ass band, which is nothing to do with music anymore. But it's all about the feeling.
Well, you do have that, and it's cool. I mean, when we were going through some of the stuff for the program and we're putting it together, I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, this is like a blues scale. This is the blues tritone in it. But when you play it in a metal fashion, it really doesn't sound like you're playing John Lee Hooker.
Yeah. Funnily enough, it's true. Yeah. And when you throw that kind of thing in like your average heavy metal riff, it really does sound. It sounds metal.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
It does. Absolutely, man. All right, let's go through bending now. I know that some shredders, don't really incorporate a lot of bends in their playing. They play 64th notes at
right.
high speeds, but they don't really put the bends in. I think that's a great part of your style, the way you incorporate bends and feel into your playing.
Yeah, I mean that for me it just feels natural to do that, and I think that bands in general, they at least the guitar players that I grew up listening to, which is a variety of different styles, from like Mark Knopfler and Zakk Wylde and Steve Vai. It's a bending. It's definitely like a big part of it.
Yeah, all three of those guys are really good benders. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, or Slash for that matter. Yeah.
Slashes. Yeah. Yeah. Feel. Yeah.
So. Yeah, bending. I mean, there's many ways to do that stuff too. It's not just that you bend your whole note and then end up story. I mean, there are like so many ways to do it. You can go totally crazy, or you can do these over bends or just these tiny little things here and there that you don't really even notice, but they're still there, so you can feel them.
Yep.
And even I love to do like bending with tapping. And when I say tapping, I don't mean like playing fast. I'm just saying tap one note and just and do that on top of the band.
Right, yeah. So another thing that you add into your leads and your whole playing style is these little quirky kinds of sounds and techniques that put a little personality into your playing, a little even humor sometimes. Well,
yeah, definitely. I mean, I like to have fun with the guitar. Obviously. The best way to have fun is the whammy bar, but I mean there are other ways to do crazy stuff with the guitar, and one of them is just pick slides, the easiest thing in the world to do, and I especially I remember like I heard we actually do have a big cold hangover handing here coming up. So I remember the first time when I heard that, and I had just started playing guitar, and I'm like, how does that happen? Like, really? I mean, like, how does one do that? I didn't get it. And then once I learned pick slides, I realized that my hands were shaking. So I mean, there you go.
And it's cool because even. I mean, as simple as they could be, like a beginner could pick up a pick and like go across the neck.
Yeah.
But they just sound so cool, and you could take the pick and just make up your own little versions of how to do them.
Oh yeah, and I mean, you can go down, you can go up, you can do whatever, and you can do it from the the high strings or the low strings. Put the pick upside down, it makes it sound a little different, because it's got more of an edge, So it's there's a lot of cool ways to do that, and just endless possibilities to explore the whole pick slide thing.
But you ruin a couple picks that way, right? Get the gouges in them once in a while.
It has been, it has been known to happen. But
it seems like a lot of your rhythms in your songs have syncopations, and they're not just steady rhythms. That's true?
Very true. Yeah. No, I mean that's the way to go. Like. Syncopation is I think it's always been a big part of metal music, anyways. Well, not only the metal, but I mean, adding those kind of crazy rhythms, you know, as long as you know how to play them, you know, then it can really make your music more groovy and lively.
Yeah, and if anybody doesn't know, syncopation is this displacement of time. Instead of da 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 da, you make it da 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 da. You know, it makes the uneven rhythm timing instead of just steady. You know, so and the way that you put those rhythms in, you know, with the drums and the bass and all the instruments together, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and then, you know, even like, you know, 'cause with syncopation sometimes, you know, especially when you're doing rhythms with the low A string, it's cool to mute the strings, you know, just with the left hand like that, you know. But sometimes it's even cooler to kind of overdo the muting, so it makes a little slap like that. So, you know, it becomes kind of part of the whole rhythm, you know.
Oh yeah, the percussive kind of thing that becomes, right?
Yeah, like that, you know. So it's So, yeah.
Now, when you put those together, do you work on a syncopation beforehand for a song, like on an open string, and figure a syncopation and put it into a groove, or it comes as you're putting the riff together?
Well, yeah. I mean, usually I have that in my head already, but sometimes, I mean, I know that there should be some sort of you know, crazy ass rhythm in there, you know, and you know, syncopation, but you know, I have to come up with something original. So then I just go through different options, you know, different rhythms that I could go with, and so yeah, you know, usually when I'm writing music, I sometimes even, like, you know, end up coming up with stuff that I don't even know how to do, but I'll always, you know, find a way to pull it off, because I mean, I know that there always is a final way to pull it off. There's nothing that you can't do. I mean, that's what I really believe.
That's the attitude, man. That's the attitude you have to have, you know, to create great music. You know, there's no limitations.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You're not only the lead guitar player in the band, you're the lead singer and the songwriter. So as a songwriter, you got to think of a lot of things and dynamics and that makes your style. And I know that you have a real aggressive style, you know, at times. And that makes you sort of unique in your style.
Well, yeah, I mean, when it comes to playing, and if you want to call it singing, then fine, but I would just call it screaming pretty much. But I don't know, for me, it's just, it's the way to go, because I do have a bit of an edge anyway, so that you know, playing and playing and singing, you know, that's the best way for me to, you know, vent out, you know, all that. So, which is cool, you know, because, like, you know, when we play, it doesn't even have to be metal, but, you know, when we play rock guitar, I think it's really important that, you know, I mean, the first step is, of course, you know, to play everything correctly, but you know, that's not always the ticket, you know. Sometimes, I mean, like, for example, picking these notes, you can do like that. Or you can do,
right,
and you know that all of a sudden sounds like a whole different thing.
Yeah, that aggressive dynamic. It gives, you know, you're not playing it all gingerly, you know.
Exactly,
you know,
yeah.
Tickling the notes, you're really like spanking them, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like I was talking about the muting and everything. You know, sometimes, you know, do the slap thing. I mean, I know that, you know, the slap bass, you know, that funky thing, they do that a lot, you know, but it's cool to do that with the guitar too. And sometimes when you're muting, which is a cool thing that you can do if there's a slower riff going on, that, you know, when you're muting, you kind of hit the pickup and the bridge right, you know, to the spot where you're supposed to mute it.
Yeah.
So it makes it, you know, like that.
So yeah, you get using like a percussive, like almost like a drum kind of thing. Yeah. So you're not the drummer, lead singer.
Well, I try not to be, but you know, it keeps happening.
Yeah.